Hello and welcome. I am Master Bart, and I'm here today to talk to you about your children. Well, sort of. I was thinking the other day, when I was younger, I built a car. Do you remember the time when cars just had like a motor, a carburetor, some spark plugs, a battery? You would put some gas in it, turn the key, and off you went, If your car didn't run, you open it up. You knew everything that was inside that motor, and it was really easy to manipulate and get that car running again. Wow, times have really changed. Does anybody remember CompUSA? A big, huge computer company. When I first built my first computer, it was like the easiest thing in the world to do. You made this case, right? And in the case you put a motherboard. Motherboard was process all the information. You needed a hard drive to store all the information. There's this thing called the video card, which would really coordinate pictures and videos, things like that. You needed SD memory chips, like speed the processor up. It was simple. It was like 5 or 6 parts. Put it into a little cabinet, and you had a computer that was really functional after you plugged in the operating system, right? The things that went into your computer, how simple they were, are in essence a way to program it to do certain things. So for example, if you were working on math or if you were working on history, you just kept research and putting information into it, and the computer would store all this information. And when you needed to draw up tables, or when you needed to draw up any type of information, it quickly processed it because it had these experiences and this information, and it could juggle it around for you. That was like the coolest thing about the computer. The challenge is that not only good things went into the computer, right? Because when you were on the net and you were looking for information, you would get these things called viruses. And the viruses essentially were things that they would infect your hard drive, which is where all your memory is stored, and you wouldn't know it unless you had virus protection, and then a warning would come on, and that was a whole nother issue, to try and detect where the problem was. But what would happen was, in a few days, your computer would start to run slower, and then your computer would start to blink on and off, and then your computer might not be able to retrieve any information for you, and then it would start to freeze. Like you would be working on a program, your computer would freeze, you couldn't do anything with it, right? Well, the problem with that virus is the virus attacked the hard drive. The hard drive is where all your files were stored, right? And so when the virus got in there, it would start to rewrite the information that you put in there, and the computer wouldn't be able to find it, wouldn't be able to recognize it, and your computer would freeze. And you would do one of two things at that point. You would either go to a computer expert who would essentially reformat your hard drive, or you would do it all yourself, which means you have to erase the whole hard drive, and then you would have to reinstall it. Well, this isn't about computers, this is about your children. Why I brought up cars and computers is because there was a time it was really simple. You would just put information in and things would happen, and it would just work beautifully. And kids are the same way. Years ago you would teach them their P's and Q's, right? How to behave, and kids pretty much just functioned along the line very nicely. What happened over time is more and more viruses came into society and affected the way the kids' programming went. So viruses weren't so much, when I'm speaking about viruses, aren't bacterially infected, but things like social media, things like other children that have older brothers that are infecting them with different ideas and concepts, friends that don't do the right thing, right? So these kids are being influenced by all these things like I just described, like social media, and what's happening is the results we're getting are much different, right? The kids are saying no earlier. The kids are testing their limits earlier. The kids are doing things that we never did as adults. So there's simple things that I found along the way raising my child of how to reprogram them without re-erasing their whole memory, right? You want them to keep their experiences, because obviously the more experiences they have to draw information from, the more they can decide this is safe, this isn't safe. This is good for me, this isn't good for me. This person looks out for me, this person doesn't look out for me. So those experiences are really important. But what you want to do with them is reformat the way they go about choosing what's right and wrong. So number one thing that I think is just plug in the right information constantly. If you keep plugging in the right information, you're going to get the right responses out. Bedtime is the best time to do it. Sometimes it's good to do it when they're awake, and sometimes it's good to do it when they're asleep. So what do I mean? Go into their room when they're sleeping and tell them you're wonderfully made. Tell them you're one of a kind. Tell them you have special abilities nobody has. Tell them you're going to be a success. You know, the world is waiting for you. You know, plug in these ideas that their unconscious mind hears, and if you plug in this information in on a regular basis, you're going to get out really good information. I started in the school a while ago, these 3 ninja secrets, where I'm teaching these kids, I listen, pay attention, follow directions, and I have the parents do it with the kids one time, twice a day, once in the morning, once at night. And I had class the other day with a new student, and I was going over some of the strikes and blocks, and what is this kid doing? I do 2 punches, and he's saying, I listen. I was amazed. It's like, in 2 weeks, this kid has this information playing in his head all the time. So when he's out on the playground and the teacher says, everybody come on in, he's like the first one because he listens, right? Really information, the stuff works. If you're doing it to them when you put them to bed, you know, and you're talking to them for a few minutes before they go to bed, you know, you're going to do the same things. Did you know there's only one of you? Did you know you have a really special gift to unleash on the world? But that gift is something you're going to discover and you're going to give out, right? So you kind of make them curious before they go to sleep. So when they go to sleep, they're thinking about their special gift, right? And what it is they're going to bring to the world. Really cool to work with the brain because these kids will change. The second thing you want to do is you want to try and prevent these viruses. Yes, you want to prevent the bacterial viruses. You want to prevent all these health-related things that are coming into them, but you really want to prevent these social viruses. You know, if they're going to be on that computer, they're going to be doing educational programs. They're going to be doing learning programs. Don't let them surf for garbage. Don't let them go on, you know, these sites that play games all the time. It's not about the games. It's about learning, gathering information, storing that information, so when they need it, they can communicate and they have information to give people. This is where parenting comes in, right? Teach them about negative peers. Teach them about TV and social media, how they're telling them, be thin, be heavy, be this, be that. No, be what you need to be to get your job done. You were made in a certain body type because that body is going to take you somewhere, right? So you want to encourage them, you know, choose your friends carefully. That's where the parenting comes in, right? You have to tell them, you know, a friend does this, a friend does this. This is a real friend. If your so-called friend is doing this to you or doing this to you, that's not really a good friend. You can find better friends than that, right? So teaching them all about friendship, about the different types of media out there that's not good for them. Teach them about this because it's going to protect them from making their brain slow down. It's going to teach them to make better choices. And that's what you really want. You want their computer to function really, really good. And you want to maintain this system, which is your third thing. Maintaining the system. This is your child and you want the best for them, right? So you want to make sure they're always functioning at their highest level. right? And there's so many things that are going to make them not function well. Lots of sugar in their diet, right? Salt in their diet. Foods that are just not good for them, like sugar cereal, right? Like Frosted Flakes. These things aren't good for the kids. So you want to make sure you're feeding them healthy food that is going to put nutrients and energy into their body. And if you're feeding, again, the body the right things, the right thing is going to happen. They'll have more energy. They'll be stronger. And they'll make better choices when they're away from you to eat better, right? You want to make sure they get enough sleep. Sleep is critical. Sleep is your body's way to heal. So when you lay down and go to sleep, it's like all these space aliens come out of your cells, and they attack anything that's foreign to the body, anything that was injured during the day. It gives you your brain a chance to program all the information you learned and put it into all little categories. So sleep is so critical, and a lot of times we don't give that to them. And then medically, you want to make sure, and I know you all are because the schools really reinforce it, but you want to make sure medically everything's in order. They're getting their tests done, and they're developing the right way. If you're doing this stuff, they're going to grow up in a way where they can see value to things, and really at the end of the day, you're going to have a healthy child, and it's going to be sharp and quick and healthy, right? Those are my tips for you today. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be giving you lots and lots of tips. Okay? You guys have a great day. I'll see you next time.